Matthew Perry's death has rocked the showbiz world, but sadly it's not surprising. The star was loved globally, by millions, but described himself as broken, bent, unlovable. Matthew, who played Chandler Bing in the hit series, was everyone's favorite friend, but always seemed so alone. On the surface, he had it all, but none of it made any difference, writes The Mirror. The news of his sad passing left many fans heartbroken, but devastatingly, it also had an air of inevitability to it. Over the years, Matthew had been incredibly open about his decades-long battle with addiction in a bid to help others, honestly recounting all the times he had nearly met his maker. Last year, he released his memoir, Friends, Lovers and the Big Terrible Thing, where he opened up about his struggles. In the book, he wrote, "Hi, my name is Matthew, although you may know me by another name. My friends call me Matty. And I should be dead." Matthew was born on August 19, 1969, in Massachusetts, but grew up in Ottawa, Ontario. Matthew was an only child and was raised by mum Suzanne, a writer and former press aide for Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, after his parents divorced when he was just 1. His mother remarried and went on to have the 4 step-siblings he was brought up alongside. Matthew's father, John Bennett Perry, was an actor who appeared on the American soap Falcon Crest. He inspired his son to follow in his footsteps, backed up by Matthew's experiences at school. "I'd fall down. I'd tell jokes. I liked the feedback," he recalled. "I loved making girls laugh. It felt good. When I was, 15, I realized there could be a career in making people laugh, you could get paid to do it. That was insane to me." At school, Matthew and his pals developed a sarcastic way of expressing themselves, "Could that teacher be any meaner?" Which would eventually be written into Friends scripts and become his character's iconic way of speaking. A 15-year-old Matthew moved from Ontario to LA to be closer to his dad. He'd been a top-rated tennis player in Canada but left that behind to pursue his love of acting. He was spotted at a diner, charming a bunch of young women, by director William Richard, who left a note offering him a part in his next movie, 1998's A Night in the Life of Jimmy Reardon, with River Phoenix. Matthew described making his first film as one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. He added, "I knew that I wanted to act." He landed smaller parts in various U.S. TV shows like Charles in Charge, Who's the Boss?, Growing Pains and Beverly Hills 90210. Later, in 2002, he said, "There was steam coming out of my ears, I wanted to be famous so badly." And then came the life-changing audition for Friends, for which he would eventually be paid a record-breaking $1 million an episode. Not long before, he admits he had prayed, "God, you can do whatever you want to me. Just please make me famous." Join the Daily Records WhatsApp community here and get the latest news sent straight to your messages. Speaking about his role as Chandler, he explained, "It was as if someone had followed me around for a year, stealing my jokes, copying my mannerisms, photocopying my world-weary yet witty view of life. It wasn't that I thought I could play Chandler. I was Chandler." Friends co-creator David Crane said Chandler was the most difficult character to cast, with many actors trying out for the part. "Marta Kaufman, co-creator, and I were thinking Chandler is just poorly written," he remembered. Then Matthew came in and you went, "Oh, well, there you go. Done. Done." "That's the guy. This was the only guy to play him," Marta Kauffman agreed, in the 2021 reunion special. When he got the part, age 24, Matthew was ecstatic. "I was going to be so famous, all the pain I carried with me would melt like frost in sunlight," he remembers thinking. And at first, it seemed like that was working. He said, "When it happens, it's kind of like Disneyland for a while. For me, it lasted about 8 months, this feeling of I've made it, I'm thrilled, there's no problem in the world. And then you realize that it doesn't accomplish anything, it's not filling any holes in your life." Enter the big terrible thing from the title of his memoir, an addiction to alcohol and opioids that would mean Matthew spending, at his own estimate, more than half his life in rehab, detoxing more than 65 times, and costing him more than $9 million, writes The Mirror. He was just 14 when he started drinking Budweiser and sweet, fizzy wine, and by his 21st birthday party his drinking was already showing signs of being out of control. 3 years after joining Friends, Matthew was involved in a jet ski accident and was prescribed heavy-duty painkiller Vicodin. Once he healed from the accident, he found it impossible to stop taking the medication. The maximum daily dosage is 8 tablets, but, by the end of the 3rd season of Friends, he was on around 55 a day. He admitted he didn't even remember filming 3 seasons of the worldwide smash hit sitcom. In his book, he said that you can tell in the series what he is addicted to and when. He wrote, "You can track the trajectory of my addiction if you gauge my weight from season to season. When I'm carrying weight, it's alcohol, when I'm skinny, it's pills. When I have a goatee, it's lots of pills." Matthew credited his survival, in part, to the support of Courtney Cox, Jennifer Aniston, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc and David Schwimmer, the co-stars who were there for him in his time of need. He said, "They were understanding and they were patient. It's like penguins. When one is sick, the other penguins surround it and prop it up until that penguin can walk on its own. That's kind of what the cast did for me." He also said that behind the scenes of one of the show's biggest moments, he was receiving treatment. He said, "I married Monica and got driven back to the treatment center, at the height of my highest point in Friends, the highest point in my career, the iconic moment on the iconic show, in a pickup truck helmed by a sober technician." During his years on Friends, Matthew also made films including Fool's Rush In with Salma Hayek, 3 to Tango with Neve Campbell and The Whole Nine Yards with Bruce Willis. He played small roles in Ally McBeal and Scrubs. After Friends ended in 2004, he starred in Aaron Sorkin's Studio 60 on the Sunset Strip, movie 17 again alongside Zac Efron, The Good Wife, and a remake of The Odd Couple. In 2016, he wrote and acted in Play the End of Longing, which opened in the West End and later transferred to Broadway. When he was 49, he arrived at a hospital emergency room screaming in pain after an explosion of the bowel as a result of his opioid addiction. He wrote, "I was so full of SHT, it nearly killed me." Matthew spent months in hospital and required 14 operations. 2 years later, his heart stopped beating at a rehab facility in Switzerland after a sedative interacted with the opioids. Doctors managed to resuscitate him, breaking 8 ribs in the process. Despite relationships with women including Julia Roberts, Gwyneth Paltrow, Neve Campbell, Lizzie Kaplan, Heather Graham and Baywatch's Yasmin Bleeth, Matthew never married. His book ends with him aged 53, sitting in a huge house, with no one to share it with, save a sober companion, a nurse, and a gardener twice a week, and realizing that you have to get famous to know that it's not the answer. He added, and nobody who is not famous will truly believe that.
To